Welcome to another episode of Theological Pipe. News, culture, sports, politics, and everything else from a theological perspective.
It's all summed up in love.
What should I do? Tell me. God is good. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, give me peace. Give me peace.
Put that in your theological pipe and smoke it. Hey, welcome. Another episode of Theological Pipe. If you're watching on YouTube, click the like, subscribe button, comment, that kind of stuff. If you're listening on Apple or Google, Spotify, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you guys. Just going to go real quick, sitting out on the porch, enjoying a cigar. No sports to watch tonight again. So, hey, Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, minor sports, whatever you want to call them, all decided to cancel their games in protest of the Jacob Blake event. And I'm going to talk kind of about both things real quick and then just, probably end this again, just kind of enjoying myself outside. It's a nice night out here in Oklahoma. So they decided to cancel sports in protest of the Jacob Blake shooting. And you know what? Knock yourself out if that's what you want to do. There's no doubt that they're going to take a ratings hit. And hey, whatever. A lot of people that I'm seeing on social media, Facebook, Twitter, that kind of stuff, are saying they're done with sports. Maybe not. I wouldn't have protested. Let me change it. I would have protested. I would have done something to bring attention to the issues that they have. I think the issue that they are bringing protest or attention to, they're a little misguided on that, and I'll talk about that in a second. But there are worse things than not playing a game. At least they're not rioting. At least they're not breaking things. At least they're not assaulting people. At least they're not, burning businesses down. They're not playing a game. And I hope they get their message out. And I hope, it brings a productive conversation. I don't think it's going to, because I don't think they want one. And I've talked about that before. Again, there's worse things that they could be doing. So, not playing a game or two, they come back again. I hope for their sake that people watch. But I think they're blowing a golden opportunity, and I think they've blown a golden opportunity with this social justice warrior stuff, with this support of Black Lives Matter. And again, when you say Black Lives Matter, you have to tie it to the organization, and you have to tie it to the riots, people out there, destroying businesses, looting, assaulting people, all the unrest that's going on. They're Black Lives Matter people. They're Antifa people. I think they're connected, to be honest with you. They're out there looting. They're out there doing this stuff. And then the organization, which I've said before, is a Marxist, anti-American, anti-family, organization. The leaders have said some horrible, horrible things. Go look up quotes for yourself, see what they said. And these leagues are supporting that. And for me, again, I have no problem with justice. I have no problem with them drawing attention to some of the issues that we have in this country, and we do. But I don't think the Jacob Blake event is the catalyst that should have brought this about. To me, sports, and I've said this before as well, sports heals. Sports bridges gaps. Sports bridges divides. It brings people together. To me, what a better moment would have been for the NHL and Major League Baseball and the NBA. Maybe at a specific time, everyone stops and takes a knee or bows or prays or they take a moment and one person from each team addresses the people watching and about we need equality, we need justice, we need to come together and work to make this country better for everybody, and then go back to play, because again, sports brings us together. Again, they chose to boycott and not play. And I think it's going to cause more division than bringing people together. And a lot of people are tuning them out. Again, it could be worse. They could be doing worse things. And I hope that their message gets across. I just think they're going about it the wrong way. And I think they're backing the wrong horse. I've said before, I think if the sports leagues would get together and say, we're establishing a fund, we're establishing this organization, we're establishing this foundation, and we're going to pool our money into this to help disadvantaged people, to help these causes, and not support groups that are anti-American and just trying to destroy everything and to bring down the system, and they're anti-capitalist and they're Marxist and that kind of stuff. So again, it could be worse, whatever. Sports are going to come back. I'll watch. I've told you all before, I'm going to watch. I'm not one of those people that say I'm never watching again, but I think they're doing it wrong. And the reason I think they're doing it wrong, especially now, is they're using the Jacob Blake shooting as their catalyst. And there's no doubt in my mind that even today, which is we're 3 days removed from the actual event, there's no doubt in my mind that the majority of the players, the majorities of the sportscasters, the majority of the people who cover sports, the majority of people who talk about sports have not seen both of the videos, and they have not gotten all the facts. I saw Robert Horry, I think it was on NBA on TNT, and they're talking about it. And what he said, and I only saw part of it, so maybe he corrected himself afterwards, and if he did, I apologize for not having all the facts like I want people to have all the facts. But he was talking about it, and he said, I was watching that video and I saw him get shot, and I was wondering to myself, why didn't they tase him like they would have tased a white person? And I'm thinking to myself, well, they did tase him. There's 2 videos. There's no doubt that Robert Horry saw one video, and he has none of the facts that the district attorney, who's a Democrat, put out, said, here's the events as they happened. We know from the events and from the videos that this guy had a warrant out for his arrest. We know that he abuses people sexually. We know that he had a restraining order and was in a place that he wasn't supposed to be. We know that they called 911 on him. We know that the cops tried to detain him. We know that the cops confronted him. They wrestled with him. They tased him. He was armed with a knife. He went around to his car and reached into his car for possibly another weapon or another knife, or he had the knife, and that's when he got shot. I wish he didn't get shot. I think it was excessive that he got shot 7 times. I also don't think it was it wasn't racist for them to do it. That had nothing to do with race. It had to do with the events that led up to that point. And again, are there problems? Sure. Statistically, they're not what people are saying. And for those people on TV, and it wasn't just Robert Horry, it's other people that are still making comments 3 days later talking about the event. When the event started, they were all saying, well, he was just breaking up a fight and helping his girlfriend and going to check on his kids. No, he wasn't. It was a lie. And people put that lie out there. They didn't correct it. They haven't said, you know what, I've watched the video and there's more to it. And maybe let's have a discussion about what the cops could have done, should have done. But for him to say, hey, why didn't they tase the guy? They would have tased a white person. They did tase him. They did do those things. And it's just amazing to me that people that have national platforms on TV, that have huge followings on Twitter, on social media, still don't know all the facts. And I'm sure more facts may come out. But the fact that they are using this event to shut down sports, they're using this event to say, now we really got to get serious. There were more events other events that were probably more egregious than this one. And it blew my mind to watch that and say, wait a second, he hasn't seen both videos. Wait a second, he doesn't have all the facts. And he's going on national TV talking about it. And I get it. I get the passion, and I love the heartfelt sentiments. But when you make heartfelt statements and your statements are based on either not all the information or misinformation or lies, who cares how heartfelt you are? Cry as many tears as you want. If you're crying tears over facts that aren't true, who cares? And like I said, those 2 things just not playing sports when they could have played and they could have had a moment, and it would have brought people together. It would have brought people's attention to it together and said, let's fight this together. But it doesn't seem like they want to do that. And to have people still talking about this event 3 days later and still don't have all the facts, still haven't watched both of the videos, still haven't read the reports about what happened, blows my mind. It blows my mind. And it's a shame because we have an opportunity right now, regardless of what's going on with the presidential election. We have an opportunity to bring people together, and it seems like nobody cares. They just want to virtue signal. They want to, hey, we're going to sit out for a game or 2, and then we're going to come back. Racism solved. No, there's still issues, but now a lot of people that might have been watching, that might have cared, aren't watching anymore. And it's a shame. And I think having all the facts before you talk about things is important. I think understanding that there are always 2 sides to the story is important. Understanding that you can't just automatically assign guilt to a group that you don't like. The cops, white people, Jewish people, certain people, whatever you want to do, anti-Semitism, racism, whatever you want to call it, is really silly and wrong and leads to nowhere. They blew a golden opportunity. And they could have come out and made a statement that said, hey, we watched the video and we've noticed some things, and here's some things we think we could work on, or is there different ways that we can talk about policing? Can we talk about different tactics? Let's talk about that. But to automatically say, here it is again, they wouldn't do this to a white guy. They did everything that they're asking. Why didn't they try to detain him? They did. Why didn't they try to wrestle him to the ground? They did. Why didn't they tase him? They did. He wasn't armed. Yes, he was. He wasn't breaking any laws. Yes, he was. The story they tell at the beginning never matches up. So just wait and then use that opportunity to bring people together, not to divide people. I remember one of the greatest moments. It's not the same, and I get that. One of the greatest sports moments for me, and I think for probably a lot of people in the country, was after 9/11 when sports came back. Right? I always talk about one of the greatest home runs ever hit. Was Mike Piazza hitting a home run against the Atlanta Braves, the first game that the Major League Baseball started after 9/11, way back when, the 9/11 terrorist attacks. And I can remember the feeling. I mean, watching the game was surreal. I was watching it on TV. I could remember watching interviews after the game, and they had documentaries about it since, and they talked about just the feeling in the ballpark was one of surrealism, and there was such a weight and a heaviness, and people didn't know what to do, and people didn't know where to turn, and people were scared, and people were nervous, and people were concerned. And they said that when Mike Piazza hit that home run and put the Mets ahead and the Mets won the game, when he hit that home run, the whole stadium exploded. And I can remember my heart welling up in my chest, like, yes. And everyone went nuts in this. And you could tell people were just letting out their frustrations. They were letting out their fears. They were letting out their emotions. And it was like, yes, we can be normal again. Yes, we can cheer again. Yes, we can be happy again. And man, what a time that sports right now is just positioned perfectly to do that kind of thing again. Again, different situations, I get that. But man, the country's tired. The country has been quarantined. The country has had so many things going on. And sports is the one thing that bridges divides. It bridges gaps. It brings people together. And what are they doing? The exact opposite. And again, I know the arguments. Let's have those discussions. But I think they're blowing a golden opportunity. And, they're going to come back in a few days or tomorrow or whatever. And guess what? Less people are going to be watching. More people are going to be calling out the hypocrisy of people like LeBron James and Steve Kerr and the NBA when they pretend that they're for human rights, but not really, because they don't stand up to China. You're going to have people talking about, again, Major League Baseball and the NHL kind of saying, oh, well, the NBA is doing something. We better do something too, because the sports media is going to get on us because they're all woke and they're all liberal and they're going to make fun of us and they're going to call us out, and we don't want to make them mad because then they'll make us look bad. And they're bowing down to the mob and they're doing these things and they're going to get back to play, and people aren't going to care that much. And I wish they would. I wish they would change their tactics. I still believe they can. Again, come out against things that they need to come out against. Come out and say, we're not going to support organizations that want to destroy the family. We're not going to support organizations that are anti-American. We're not going to support organizations that want to abolish the police. We've seen what happens when the police don't do their job and when the police aren't allowed to do their job. We've seen what happens when mayors and governors of cities refuse help from trained military people to protect businesses and to protect people. People take the matters into their own hands, and then you have kids shooting people in self-defense, and people are lying about that too because they don't have all the facts either. So I guess this is kind of a rant. It's actually been really nice. I've sat out here. I've read a couple books, smoking a cigar, enjoying myself. Again, sports will come back. I'll watch it because I like sports. And I like the healing power of sports. I like the togetherness of sports. I like the camaraderie of sports. I like the fact that people can watch sports and it brings people together. And sports has such an amazing power. I think they can use their power in a different way to bring attention to the issues that they see that are out there and that are out there. There's disparities, there's issues, there's problems, but it's not America that's the problem. It's minor problems that we can fix because we're Americans. Tearing down America is not the answer, and that's the organizations that these sports are proclaiming, that these sports are supporting when they do the things that they do, and they paint the things that they paint on their court, and they say the things that they say. And I think if people would have an honest conversation with them, and some adults would step up and say, hey, what do you think about this, LeBron? Did you know that Black Lives Matter wants to tear down the nuclear family? What do you say about that? Does he even know that? Does he even care? Does he have an answer? Maybe he's got a good answer, but nobody's going to ask him because they're all in on it. They're all in that vein, and they're losing people because of it. And I think they can have a good conversation. Hey, do you think America's an evil place that we need to tear down and replace with the socialism? If he says yes, say, well, can you give me an example where socialism works? And they can't. And let's have those conversations. But instead, it's divide. We're not taking questions. Nobody in the media has the guts to ask the questions. And when they do, people like Jason Whitlock, he's a writer for, I think he's now with Outkick. He writes really good articles. He writes really good thought-provoking things. He's an African-American. He's a black man, and he's not down with Black Lives Matter. He's not down with the destruction of the family, and he writes some really good things. Nobody will say, hey, have you seen Jason Whitlock's column? What do you think about it? Let's talk about it. Let's have that conversation. But they don't do that, and it just furthers the divide. And I don't see anything productive in stopping a couple games, pretending that and stopping a couple games based on an event that they don't even have all the facts on. Which, again, they prove by some of the statements they've made. So, anyway, there's my rant. And, again, I'm in a good mood. I shouldn't act like I'm all angry and stuff. Again, I got to probably relight this now. But just sitting out, enjoying a cigar, reading books. Sports will come back. Again, I hope and I pray that people that have power, and let's forget about sports for a second. Donald Trump can use his power for good. And I think the Republican National Convention, even though I'm not a big Trump guy, they've done a really good job of presenting a really good face on America when it comes to immigrants, when it comes to people of all different ethnicities, people of all different sexual orientations, people from all different walks of life sharing their stories, immigrants being sworn in. They've done a really good job. Now, here's my hope, that he keeps that kind of stuff up. Feel good. We're Americans. We're in this together. The Democrats can do the same thing. We're in this together. We're going to get through it together, regardless of the results of the election. But unfortunately, what both sides are going to do is divide to bring out their base, because that's who they want to vote for. And whoever wins, the other side's going to be so angry because they've been called racist, because they've been called communists, because they've been called Nazis, because they've been called, baby killers, because they've been called grandma killers. And we're going to be divided after the election. They have people in power have such an ability to bring people together, but they choose not to. And that's from politics to sports to entertainment. Bring people together. And if you can, man, we can see such positive changes in this world. And so I don't really have a theological pipe or theological cigar moment. But I just think if we could use our power, again, it comes back to my saying, like I always say, just be nice. If we could be nice and really have discussions and really be honest with each other and not bow to the pressure from the mob or from the people that are paying our money. You know why the NBA doesn't stand up to China? Money. It's about money. You know why certain political people demonize certain other political people, because they can raise money that way. And that's a shame. What we should focus on, if we could be nice, and we can be nice to each other, we can get through this. We can get through COVID. We can get through an election. We can come out on the other side of all of this and be better for it. But that's what we need to strive for, is being better for it. And when you demonize people on the other side just because you have to make woke points, Max Kellerman's another example. What an idiot. What a moron. He gets on his national TV show. Again, probably doesn't know all the facts of the Jacob Floyd thing. Jacob Blake thing. Doesn't know all the facts. He's spouting off about the SEC. And he just says all the SEC people are ignorant and stupid and they're easily swayed. As if saying because they're all Trump supporters. As if Democrats aren't easily swayed and moronic too. Right? I mean, come on now. What an idiotic thing to say on TV. Not even using his forum to bring people together. There's one guy that I think is really good at doing that. Well, there's a few of them, but there's one I think is really good, and that's Terry Crews. Everything he says on Twitter is positive. He's about bringing people together, and he gets attacked unmercifully for it. So I guess I'll leave it at that. Just be nice to each other. Be friendly. Love. Care. And if you have any influence, use it to bring people together. Use it to bring people together, even if they think differently from you. And what a better place this will be. So put that in your theological cigar and smoke it. Be nice, and we'll see you next time.
Lopez wants it away.
And it's hit deep to left center. Andrew Jones on the run. This one has a chance. Home run!
Mike Piazza, and the Mets lead 3-2.
Take a look at this. He's got as much power as anybody. He got the arms extended. A long home run. And a curtain call.